Okay, picture this. You're just doing your usual grocery run, maybe grabbing some stuff for dinner, and you find yourself wandering into the gardening section, maybe looking for herbs. And then you see it, something really weird just sitting there among the normal plants, something that honestly looks like it belongs way, way down in the ocean. That feeling, that kind of double take moment.
Yeah.
That's where we're starting our deep dive today. We're looking at a plant that's so visually strange, it just makes you stop.
It's exactly that. Finding something totally unexpected in a place you know so well, it grabs your attention.
It really does. So today we're getting into the Euphorbia Flanaganii, and our whole jumping off point is this really new personal blog post, just published today, actually, August 16th, 2025. It's called Notes on Gardening, part 627, Euphorbia Flanaganii, a plant that looks like a deep-sea crab. And that comparison, right? A deep-sea crab. That's what grabbed the author. And yeah, it definitely grabbed me too.
It's a fantastic description, isn't it? Really paints a picture immediately. Though, you know, while deep-sea crab is a great first impression, its common name is actually Medusa's head.
Medusa's head. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because it has all these like snake-like stems. They radiate out from a central base. It gives it this very distinct, almost, mythological kind of look.
So what is it then? What makes this plant so visually interesting that people compare it to crabs and mythical figures? That's what we want to figure out in this deep dive. Let's really get into what makes this Medusa's head tick.
Well, okay, aside from those stems, which, let's be honest, are the main event, visually, the source also mentions these little light green bumps or maybe flowers sprouting along the stems.
Okay, yeah, I saw that mentioned, bumps or flowers.
Right, and what's really interesting, botanically speaking, is that they aren't typical flowers like you might imagine. They're actually these specialized structures. They're called cyathea.
Cyathea.
Yeah, Cyathia. They're sort of a signature thing for the whole Euphorbia genus. Basically, tiny, reduced flower clusters all packed together. They definitely add to the plant's, weird charm, but they're not big and showy.
Huh, that's a cool detail. So it's not just the overall shape, but these little things too. You mentioned the Euphorbia genus.
Yeah.
Loads of those are pretty tough plants, right? Succulents and things.
Yeah.
Is this one like that? And what about that slow growing part the author mentioned? Does that tell us anything?
Oh, absolutely. Euphorbia Flanaganii is definitely resilient, just like a lot of succulents. It's originally from dry parts of South Africa. And that slow growth, that's actually key. It's an adaptation.
An adaptation? How so?
Well, it helps it conserve energy and water where resources are scarce, in those harsh environments. So while it might drive some gardeners a bit mad waiting for it to grow, that slow pace is exactly what lets it survive where other plants just couldn't. It's a plant that really takes its time, building up its unique shape over years, not just, a single season.
That's an interesting way to look at it. The slowness is actually a strength. Do people get things wrong about this plant often? Like any common mix-ups? Or maybe something about looking after it that's, I don't know, surprisingly rewarding if you do decide to grow it.
Yeah, a really common mistake is thinking it's a cactus, just because it looks spiky or fleshy and it's a succulent.
Ah, okay, I can see that.
But yeah, like we said with the Cyathea, it's definitely a euphorbia, different family altogether. As for care, it's actually pretty low maintenance, which is nice. Mostly just needs loads of sun and really well-draining soil. It kind of thrives on being left alone, in a way.
Right, the classic succulent treatment.
Exactly. And the reward, I think for the people who really get into it, it's watching that slow transformation, seeing those weird stems gradually extend and maybe twist around each other, and then seeing those little Cyathea pop up, especially when it's actually flowering in its own subtle way. It's definitely not a plant for someone wanting instant results. But if you appreciate patience and architectural shapes in plants, it's quite special.
Which kind of brings us right back to what the author was feeling, doesn't it? Even though it's captivating, especially with those little blooms you mentioned, Ang, the author, wraps up saying they're still not tempted to explore this type of plant. And the reason? Because it's a slow-growing succulent. Like most of them.
Right.
It's visually stunning, yes, but that growth speed just isn't for everyone, and that feels very relatable.
That's such a key point. It really highlights the gap between appreciating something and actually wanting to own it or grow it. You can totally admire its unique features, those radiating stems giving it the Medusa name, the cool botanical detail of the Cyathea, how genuinely striking it is.
Yeah, you can see why it catches the eye.
But still not want to bring it home.
The practical stuff, like how slow it grows or maybe needing the exact right sunny spot, that often plays a big role in the actual decision. So where does that leave things for you listening in? We started with this kind of wild image, a deep-sea crab found in the garden center. That led us to its cool common name, Medusa's head, all thanks to those outward-reaching stems. And then the finer points, like those cyathea. We found out its slow growth isn't really a downside, biologically speaking. It's a survival skill. And yet, our source author, Ang, was fascinated, but ultimately decided, nope, not for me, because of that very same slowness. So think about it. How often do you see something that just grabbed you visually? Maybe it's a plant that looks like a crab or Medusa, or something else entirely unexpected. How does your feeling change when you learn more? When you find out about its biology, how it lives, what it needs? Does understanding it more deeply make you want it more? Or do the practical things, like maybe it being slow growing or needing special care, end up being the deciding factor? What does it really mean to be tempted by something unique like this? And what is it for you that actually makes you decide to jump in or just admire from afar?